For a decade, I attend conventions for the thrills, the trends, the love for cosplay, and excitement of meeting new friends that share the same interests as I do. I consider indoor and outdoor events as well as vacation spots as conventions in of themselves, as I get involved in exploration, seeing the latest in collections, getting to know the community, and typing about my experiences, all while having fun doing it. These are my stories. I am Musashi X, and welcome to the Musashi X Chronicles CONumentary. Houston. H-Town, Space City, Clutch City, whatever the heck you want to call it, it is the fourth most populous city in the US, with over 2.3 million settling in the town. I was originally from California, lived in Southeast Asia for most of my grade school years, until 1998 and onwards that I've settled here in Houston, or in this case, the friendly small town of Katy. Houston is very rich in history, dating back as the 18th century, but I'd be here all day if I am to talk about Texas history as a whole, so I suggest going to your local library to check it out. Heck, in 7th grade, there exists a course on just Texas history alone, but I'll make some mentions as to what Houston consists of. When it comes to culture, Houston has many events that are held annually that would celebrate the town's diversity, like 20 straight days of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, the Auto Show, and the Houston Art Festival. Houston also houses various locations that would host events, like the Museum of Fine Arts, the Museum of Natural Science, and the Jesse H. Jones Hall for the Performing Arts, or Jones Hall for short, which hosts various orchestra shows, such as the upcoming Distant Worlds Final Fantasy, which will take place this July, though unfortunately it'll be on a date in which I'll be away for a trip. Of course, Houston would also be the home of many sports teams, such as two-time NBA Finals winners, the Houston Rockets, the MLB team, the Houston Astros, who just had their first World Series victory this past year at the time of this video, the Houston Texans, who are now a 16-year-old NFL team, and counting the rise of esports and the Overwatch League, the Houston Outlaws, which was formed in September this past year. Also at the time of this video, of course. There are many notable people that lived or had lived in Houston, such as Sean Patrick Flannery from the Boondock Saints movies, late TV journalist Walter Cronkite, late disc jockey DJ Screw, who invented and perfected the music mixing technique called Chop and Screwed, which future rappers like Chameleonaire, also from Houston, would implement in his mixtapes, and notable WWE superstars such as The Undertaker and Booker T, the latter who is a Hall of Famer and has his own independent wrestling promotion called Reality of Wrestling, which was on the CW until it was picked up later by Fight TV. There are many conventions and events here in Houston taking place on either the George R. Brown Convention Center or the NRG Center, such as Comicpalooza, Houston's flagship Comic-Con, Retropalooza Houston, which is the brother convention of Retropalooza Arlington, which specializes in old school gaming and pop culture swag, the Houston Arcade Expo, a small 2-day convention that houses all day to 2 a.m. arcade, console, and pinball gaming, and today's subject, the Houston Japanese Festival, held every year at Herman Park, just across the street from the Science Museum. This year's Japanese Festival of Houston celebrated its 25th anniversary since its inception back in 1993, but it'll always be held annually at Herman Park, attracting almost 30,000 visitors in a single weekend. What I consider the downside of the festival is that it'll always have very limited parking space, so waking up very early in the morning and getting a good parking like the McGovern Centennial Gardens is the way to go, but even that gets worse in the later hours. I was lucky enough to even get to these gardens as early as around 9:30 a.m. While the festival theme changes each year, the festival's purpose is to educate people on the fundamental interest and facts of the land of Japan, as evidenced by the many stands set up throughout the park, each showing the culture the Japanese live by, or how different their cooking methods are in comparison. Yeah, my apologies on the screen shaking. I really don't know why, but I was trying my best to be still in my recording. But anyway, around 9:45 a.m., there really aren't that much attendees yet, giving me the chance to give you viewers an overview of the event itself. Some of the many tents you see would consist of something like information booths from flight or tour guides explaining about Japan, or tents of amusement for children such as fishing or target practice. It wouldn't be Japanese culture without mentioning anime, as there are some tents with dealers selling merchandises of various anime shows, ranging from shirts to statues, dolls, or even pillows of J-pop or K-pop groups, or for simple toys such as Kendamas. More on that later. I continue to circle around the park and I see more figures that are being sold, some really cool samurai shirts, some cool looking art and calligraphy, a shop that lets you try on clothing from the Sengoku or Tokugawa shogunate eras, and heck, even a dealer that sells Japanese toilet seats. Literally. Anyway, moving on, there are also melee weapon vendors such as the Magic Cauldron here, who I've seen in just about almost many Houston conventions that I go to, as well as the Renaissance Festival. However, during my visit, I didn't have that much cash carried and only had enough for food. Speaking of nourishment, there are many stands selling food, cooked very nicely using Japanese-style cooking methods, many of which are barbecued or fried while skewered, which is a plus for me. Sadly, not one of these tents serve any sushi or ramen at all, which hopefully next year and onwards they would improve upon that. Various foods being served can range from barbecued pork, skewered shrimp, having a cup of different flavors of tea, takoyaki or fried octopus, or check out some of the food trucks that are also taking part in the event as well. Although this is a 2-day event, Sunday was my only attendance and thankfully the weather was nice during that day. Though it was odd that it was cold in the morning, but then the heat comes in during the afternoon. Yup, bipolar weather at its best here in Houston. Herman Park also has its own Japanese garden, and just walking inside makes you feel so relaxed and make you feel at peace within your soul. Heck, there's even a bonsai tree demonstration happening during the event. Yes, bonsai trees. One of the hobbies of the Japanese, where they would not only water them, but there's the art of trimming some parts to make them more serene in quality, and it's also a good stress reliever. You ever seen the Karate Kid movies? Yup, that kind of hobby. And by the way, the new show Cobra Kai on YouTube Red is such a good show to watch, and hopefully there's a season 2 coming soon. But moving on, the scenery of the garden alone is enough to make you feel calm in your mind and be relieved of any tension. I mentioned Kendama earlier while looking at the various vendors throughout the event. During exploration, however, I come across this dancer who is showing off some cool tricks with a kendama. I knew somehow I had to record it as well. Finally, the festival also has a stage where numerous performances take place, whether it be martial arts, weapon combat, or as shown here, taiko drum performances, which are very common for parades in Japan. And then there's some cosplay involved as well. During that Sunday, I was beat from Jet Set Radio, and it was from there that a cosplay contest was taking place. Sadly, I didn't take any footage of the contest at all, as I was competing on it as well, and the best in show would be awarded with a free all-expenses-paid trip to Japan, which was won this year by my good friend, Joe, aka Sledge, for his portrayal of Judge Magister Gabranth from Final Fantasy XII, and holy cow, he definitely earned that total victory. Please support him and like his fan page on the description of the video below. He'll be much appreciated by it. It was sure a nice day during the festival, but my day was far from done, as myself, Sledge, and 6 other cosplay friends get together in a ramen place not too far from the park called Ramen Tatsuya. And it was worth mentioning now at this video, as it is also a nice hangout spot with friends, and the ramen is fantastic. Even this limited time crawfish ramen I ordered was excellent. Of course, being the sometimes risky idiot that I can be sometimes, I intentionally added in a paste called the Fire Bomb, which is a mixture of both Thai chili and habanero. It was very spicy, but man was it so worth it. So yeah, Ramen Tatsuya, another recommended place to eat. So in the end, is the Japanese festival worth visiting? Well, if you're ever in Houston, you bet it is. It feels great not only to learn, but also immersing yourself to the wonderful culture of the Japanese. Also, the food tastes great, the performances are fun to watch, it's fun for the whole family, and the pleasant scenery of Herman Park makes the Houston Japanese Festival a nice event to witness. It even got the title of Best Festival by the Houston Press, and they sure as heck earned it. I hope you all liked this episode of CONumentary, and if you haven't done so yet, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for other great content, and don't forget to like and follow my Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/MusashiXReviews. Until then, this has been Musashi X, and I bid you all farewell, take care, and stay tuned.